Grey Cup ends in this. So let me just say this. What if a Grey Cup ends? And I wouldn't have a problem with what happened Thursday night if that happened in a Grey Cup because it is the rules. How would you feel?
The rules are the rules. I would be happy. Like you said, those are the rules. I never understand. I don't understand when people get upset about this. I don't understand because it happens in every game every week. It's just not to end the game. I mean, getting 1 point is huge. It's why we have all the returns. The NFL is going upside down and backwards, trying to force its teams to have kick returns. They're doing everything to make the kicking game relevant. It's already relevant in CFL. It's built into the rules where you have to return it. If you don't return it, you give up a point. If you don't return a punt, the punter comes and collects it and you give up possession. So, I mean, it's very much what makes the 1 yard difference, the extra player in the wider field, those are all things. But the single point, the rouge, adds a great dimension to our game that makes it different. Like I already feel like I've talked too much about it, let alone everyone else complaining about it.
No. Well, you were supposed to be here Thursday. We could have talked about it more. It worked out fine, or Friday, whatever it was. I'm a little worried because we're agreeing here, and that never happens. I will say this. Is it nonsensical to pick a winner in the Labor Day Classic? Like nonsensical to even try?
Are you sponsored by a betting group? Because if you are, I would go on there and see what the spread is. And if it's less than the field goal, go with the home team. Home teams tend to, in those close games that you can't call, I think the home team does. When we I played in 7 of them, and I think the home team won, most of the time anyways.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Do you believe in sports curses? Mike White, who's supposed to be the next big thing with the Jets, goes down in the first quarter, but they're saying there's got to be a curse on the Jets. And our question to you, the viewers, is do you believe in sports curses? Can't make up my mind whether I believe in them or not. Because on one hand, I say the harder you work, the luckier you get. But on the other hand, I'm very spiritual and believe there's a plan and all the rest, so I don't know.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yeah. Welcome to a brand new week, everybody. It is the RP Show. We are coming at you live on the Game Plus television network. Shout out to our gang there in Toronto. And speaking of, that's where the other half of the program joins us today, Darren Moose Dupont. We've got a lot of sports to get to this week. It's going to be a lot of me and Moose here, and it's always fun, Moose. I opened the text line on Monday mornings, and all these messages came in over the weekend addressed to Rod and Moose, Moose and Rod, Rod and Moose. If we have time later, I'll get to all of those, but it's a wash, man. Things move. We've got a lot to get to today. I think I'll just ask on behalf of both nations, Canada and the USA, where we are in both countries on Game Plus TV. We all want to know, how are you and how was the weekend?
Yeah, weekend was fantastic. I think we've got the great thaw happening all across Canada, which is good. Everybody's in a good mood. The sun is out. The weekend was great. And I'll say you got your Grapefruit League shirt on, which I'm sure you'll talk about in a moment. But this weekend, baseball came on my radar for the first time, and I'm kind of getting into spring training now. Yeah.
Hard not to, although it's in the news today, the sports news today. It's raining cats and dogs here in Central and South Florida, so a lot of games are being postponed or canceled, which is very unfortunate. But hey, spoiler alert, where's my bell? We will not be talking about Wayne Gretzky on today's program. I support Wayne Gretzky. I'm not even going to mention Darren. I'm not going to ask you. I don't want to get you in trouble. But just a brief little look at social media today, and they're still on the great one. It's in my Monday morning goalie column. My thoughts there on Wayne. We all know the story. And all I can say is the NHL doesn't seem to have a problem with Wayne Gretzky, nor does the NHL on TNT. So deal with it. They just can't seem to leave it alone. Can you hit the quick six show horn, please, guys? Can you hit the quick six?
How about that?
We will open with the NHL, though. The big story in our world, Moose's and mine, and I think a lot of our viewers, is hockey. Nicholas Robertson scored twice. Max Domi had 2 assists, and the visiting Toronto Maple Leafs beat the Chicago Blackhawks 5-2 in NHL play Sunday. Jake McCabe, Chris Tanev, and Pontus Holmberg also scored for the Leafs, who have won 2 in a row. Goalie Jordan Bennington, who backstopped Canada to a gold medal in the Four Nations Face-Off tournament last week, stopped 27 shots to lead the St. Louis Blues to a 3-1 win over Colorado. And I think, Darren, what everybody's talking about that I've seen that aren't talking about the great one, Alex Ovechkin is 13 goals away from breaking Wayne Gretzky's all-time record after scoring a hattie in Washington's 7-3 win Sunday over the Edmonton Oilers. The Capitals captain now has 882 career goals, and with 25 seconds left, he's on pace to set the record this season. NHL Stats was saying early April, dude, 13 goals, and he's got, it's going to happen. It's probably going to happen in March. This is a hell of a story. Are you ready for it?
I wasn't, but I am now, and I'm ready for, we're going to have to watch every single Washington Capitals game when he gets close to that number, like within 3 goals. We're going to have to watch every game because you want to be there when he ties it. You want to be watching when he breaks it, period. But for me, like, this is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. Like, I'm watching yesterday, and he's got the 1. He's got 2. I'm like, this isn't real. I'm in another dimension. This is not real. What he's doing wasn't supposed to. We talked about, would this happen ever? And then it became, it's not going to happen this year. Now it's just a matter of when, how soon. He only has to score a goal every 2 games, which he's on pace for. This is the wildest thing I've seen in hockey, I think.
Or sports. Like, it's fun. It's like Wayne Gretzky's got like 60 other records that he still holds. So Wayne's fine. This one going down isn't even the biggest record that Gretzky holds. I would say all-time points is. But anyway, I digress. Ovechkin will have earned it. And you're right. Didn't seem like that long ago we were having polls over, is Ovi going to do it at all? I'm pretty sure I voted both ways. But mathematically, it sure wasn't looking like he was going to. And it's got me remembering the 90s and the McGuire and Sosa chases of the home run records. Right? And all the channels from TBS to CNN, they all had the little block window down in the corner of McGuire's at bats. Are they going to do that for Capitals games? Well, they will in Canada. Pretty sure they won't do it in the USA, although you never know. You never know. But, I mean, that's why we love sports. That's why I don't understand those that don't love sports. What gets you excited? I mean, what? The color of – I know what does. Little schoolyard spats between Drake and Kendrick Lamar. Like, that gets them excited. You do you. But for us, this seems a lot more real and tangible, and it goes down in the history books, so this is a hell of a lot of fun. And Ovi's going to do it, and yeah, I applaud it. Moving on to point 2 of our Quick Six show topics. The Edmonton Oilers lost their 3rd in a row, dating back to before the break, despite Leon Draisaitl scoring his league-leading 42nd goal of the season. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Jeff Skinner scored in the 3rd, long after the game was out of hand. And Calvin Pickard allowed 6 goals on 32 shots in that 7-3 loss at Washington Sunday. It comes on the heels of a 6-3 loss at Philly on Saturday. It brings about our poll question today. Do the Edmonton Oilers need to acquire a goalie before the trade deadline? Our poll question daily is for EMJ Marketing. Look them up at emjmarketing.com. You can peruse their roster there. They'll provide the perfect keynote speaker for your event. And ask for Joe at emjmarketing.com. I'm going to go right out on the limb and say no. And that shouldn't probably surprise anybody. But we didn't learn anything. Okay, especially older fans and probably a lot of fans of other teams. We didn't learn anything coming out of the Four Nations face-off, unfortunately. John Cooper got all the guff for sticking with Jordan Binnington despite his struggles in the round robin. Then in the championship game, he slams the door and Canada wins. Did nobody learn anything? The Edmonton Oilers drafted Stuart Skinner. They developed Stuart Skinner. He took him all the way to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final, lost 2-1 Game 7. Wasn't his fault. Stuart Skinner is fine. And my God, that kid deserves a Purple Heart for playing in his hometown, putting up with all the crap from the fan base, and to be honest, a lot of the media too. My point is, John Cooper, you pick your guy and you stick with him. And that's what the Edmonton Oilers should do as far as this columnist is concerned. But maybe you don't agree, Moose. What are you voting?
It depends what's out there. It really does. Like, I don't know that you need to move mountains to get a better goaltender because, yes, in times goaltenders will steal you games and be stories why you win cups. And you look at, the greats for sure, Broder, Patrick Waugh, you go down the list of some of these great goalies, winning cups. But at the end of the day, the Oilers are a great hockey team and they're going to be fine. I would look at upgrading. I really would, but only if the cost is reasonable. I'm not mortgaging the future. I'm not getting rid of key assets. I'm not going crazy looking for a goaltender. If you can upgrade and it kind of comes to you, yes. But I'm saying no. I'm saying you're fine with Stuart Skinner too. I like Stuart Skinner. I think we're both fans. I mean, I covered him in the Western Hockey League. I've long been a fan. And if we learned anything from, as you said, John Cooper at the Four Nations, stick with your guy, and hopefully he rewards you in the end.
From the audience, Bomber Boy writes in Calgary, says, I hope Ovi ties the record, then takes another month to set the new record and strings along Gretzky to each game. Oh, stop it. Jason in Red Deer says, great point, Rod. Don't worry, I make a lot of them. No charge. Utah Darren writes in and he says, this NHL stuff is so much fun. Except for the Utah Hockey Club's roller coaster ride to a possible playoff. Sheesh. Bro, they haven't made the playoffs since 2012. The bubble 2014 tournament doesn't count. It's so funny with markets that want a team, but if they don't have a team, then they want a good team. It's like, get in line, Salt Lake City. You got a long ways to wait. A long time. Phil writes in, he says, thank God it's Monday. As much as I enjoyed watching the Four Nations tournament, I was so happy the NHL is back. So happy baseball is back. Love this time of year. Hashtag Go Jets. Who's the guy that says this is the best time of year? Oh, yeah. Me.
How about that?
Me and Phil are the only two. Me and Phil are the only two that feel this is the best time of year, although I don't think it would take much convincing for producer Clark because he's a baseball guy as well. And just before we do roll over to spring training talk, how about this? Paul Maurice was on the radio here in Miami this morning with Joe Rose, my guy, Joe, Darren. And this injury to Matthew Tkachuk seems more serious than anybody would like to admit. He didn't play Saturday night for the Panthers in a 2-1 loss to Seattle. They have not provided any kind of update on this, what even the injury is, let alone when he'll be back. That's supposed to come maybe today or tomorrow. Charlie McAvoy seriously injured for Team USA in the Four Nations face-off. Shea Theodore, same for Team Canada. In my weekend newsletter, I'm sure you read it, I mentioned how NFL pundits are scoffing at the NHL for the injuries incurred in the Four Nations face-off and how this is why the Pro Bowl doesn't exist anymore in the NFL. This is idiotic. They're injuring their stars. I want your take on this and the viewers too. I'm sorry, man, but to make an omelet, you got to break a few eggs. To turn around the Titanic, you're going to hit a few icebergs. Injuries are going to happen. What do they say? Is the juice worth the squeeze? The pros and the cons. The injuries will heal. Okay, the benefit to the NHL having this tournament far, far, far outweighs that. That's what I think. But what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I don't know how the money gets distributed. I understand that teams would be upset, that their players go and maybe the teams don't want to release their players to go play in the Four Nations because of that risk of injury when you're a contender. I can get behind that. But if this money, for the league too, is getting distributed to the teams, there's a lot of money there too. So the financial impact, will be a good one, positively for the teams. I think it's still the positives outweigh the negatives. Do I think this is something that we need every 2 years? Best on best? I don't know. That seems like a lot. To me, every 4 years in the Olympics is enough because you got to have some buildup. But the NHL wants to have their piece. So this might, if it happens every 2 years, I can see this becoming too much, it getting watered down a little bit, and the teams being upset. But no, right now, no issues. It was amazing.
I'm about to go lose it in the hallway. Somebody's turned their kid loose here, the Sanctuary Office Suites Tower, Moose, and they're banging on my door and running up and down the halls. Why am I laughing? Anyways, point three, the Detroit Tigers canceled their first home spring training game of 2025 today. The first time since 2016 because of the rain that was forecast to continue throughout the day. Detroit was supposed to play the unbeaten Toronto Blue Jays in Lakeland, Florida, but the game was called off several hours in advance of the 105 first pitch. Inclement weather also led to the cancellation of Houston's game against Miami up in West Palm Beach. We were there yesterday at that very stadium. It was cloudy, but no rain. There were also rainy conditions today at other Grapefruit League sites in Florida, including Fort Myers and Sarasota, where teams had preemptively altered the scheduled start of games in hopes of playing later in the afternoon today. Well, so we went down to, I didn't really understand this. So I was looking at the MLB schedule, and I'm like, I told Serena, I'm going to go up to watch the Cardinals and the Astros. And she's like, I think I'd like to jump in. Our good friend Andrew Imber is the PA voice of the Florida Panthers, but he's also the PA voice of the Washington Nationals spring training. So Saturday night at the Panthers game, he says to Serena, don't go up to Jupiter. Come to West Palm. I'm doing that game. So that's what we did. And it was the Mets and the Nationals playing in West Palm Beach yesterday. And I didn't know. They announced the Mets starting lineup, and they said, well, Andrew goes, your New York Mets batting order under the guidance of manager John Gibbons. I'm like, Gibby's there? I didn't know. Kind of lost track of him since he was skipping the Blue Jays. They kind of haven't been the same since either, right? So I popped up from our seats, which was down the first base line, Nationals dugout. Skedaddle, you've seen me do this many, many times. I went down or tried to get beside the Mets dugout, and I saw John Gibbons. Pulled out my phone. I'm about to take a picture. When you know it, an usher taps me on the shoulder, and he's like, sir. I'm like, oh, God. He goes, I know what you're trying to do, and most days it would be fine. Come with me. Not that. Come with me. Just, your whole body just shudders, right? And he goes, the owner of the Mets is there in the front row. Normally, we wouldn't care. Stephen Cohen, the owner of the Mets. So if you want to wait till later in the game, he'll be gone. You can come back and take all the pictures you want. But for now, they're very hypersensitive of the owner of the Mets being there. And I'm like, I guess he gets to take up the whole row. Whatever happened to luxury suites, Darren? So then I go back to my seat. I did the loser walk of shame all the way up the stairs back to my seats. And I'm looking, and I'm like, dagnammit, there he is. But he had a quarter zip pull up and a ball cap on and very nondescript, the owner of the New York Mets. And we kind of talked about how cool that would be to be the owner of any team, whether it's the New York Mets or a junior hockey team or a Tiddlywinks team. How cool that would be to go watch your team. So anyways, it ended 11-6. I can't remember who won. But, yeah, it's not quite the same as taking over a junior A facility, you know?
Yeah, I hear you. But, it's funny that you get that opportunity to go ahead and and be at spring training. Those are fun games.
Darren's, is he froze or have I froze? Look, we're going to take a break, and I'm going to go. Okay, Darren's camera's right, and I'm going to go snap on some people. So we'll be right back, everybody. We haven't even got to the football yet. We will. We're live on the Game Plus television network. The Progressive Insurance text line is open, 902-518-3033. We'll return in a moment on Game Plus, streaming live and podcasting, wherever the best podcast.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained.
Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
It may take weeks, months, or even years to get the call to be a stem cell donor. Saving lives takes commitment and dedication, just like being a hockey player. Give hope to patients in Canada. Register online at blood.ca/get-swabbed and spread the word amongst your family and friends. And by the way, hour one of the program is brought to you by Culligan Water. Drink clean, live green, filter your water for a healthier tomorrow. Culligan Water of Regina. Visit culliganregina.com. And the Progressive Insurance text line is open. As I said, we got messages there, 902-518-3033. I'm just checking my phone because they sent me a liner to read. Switch to Progressive, and you could save big time. Progressive Insurance text line, 902-518-3033. Moose, before we jump into football, I know you're dying to do that. Two things. Got a lot of Winnipeg viewers, as you know. Gary in Winnipeg writes in, the old fart. He says, hey, Rod, I hope you had a great weekend. How about those Winnipeg Jets? I thought they were toast when St. Louis scored during Winnipeg's double minor penalty with less than 5 minutes to go, but they were able to tie it up, drive the game into overtime, win in a shootout. What a game. Tonight's Jets game is on Prime. You and I are going to get to our picks coming up. I lead 56-54. We haven't played for 2 weeks, so I'm excited for that. And Gary goes on to say, any idea what the viewership numbers were for the Four Nations final game? If I have it right, 16.1 million North America wide watched it for a dreamt up tournament. There's really nothing. Like, let's just walk this back for a second. They're still talking about what a massive boon this was. And that's why I go back to those injuries. the injuries will heal. They were worth it. And I don't see a lot of people arguing about that, Darren.
No, I don't either. I don't see anybody really arguing it. Maybe the teams are going to argue it a little bit, because I get it. They got seasons to worry about. They don't really care about the Four Nations from a business standpoint or anything. But no, we don't care. But, worth it because it was so great, Four Nation.
By the way, Brian is watching in Winnipeg. Man, we're huge in Winnipeg. Brian writes in and says, Bobby Axelrod on Billions is modeled after Stephen Cohen. I didn't know that. The owner of the Mets. Okay, so it's sort of like my buddy Lee Steinberg. Jerry Maguire is about Lee Steinberg. Bobby Axelrod on Billions is modeled after Steve Cohen. Well, isn't that something?
Whoa.
Okay. I need to think about that for a little bit. Better than Wolf of Wall Street. Way better than Wolf of Wall Street. Okay, to football. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you can't come down here because the owner of the Mets is here. Okay. Okay. I didn't have a lot of power in this situation, Moose. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
okay.
I get that.
You get it. This is new to me. To football. The NFL Scouting Combine takes place this week, and more than 300 prospects will be under the close eye of team coaching and personnel staffs, as well as NFL fan bases. The on-field action and NFL Network coverage begins on Thursday and continues through Sunday as players go through drills such as the 40-yard dash, vertical and broad jumps, three-cone drill, shuttle runs, and bench press. Be ready for a heaping helping of scout speak. I got this from my daily USA Today newsletter that I subscribe to. Newsletters are great, everybody. And I was thinking, not are you into the combine, but will you follow the combine? And then I realized there is no way on God's green earth that you could avoid talk. Because this morning I was listening to Dan Patrick talk of the combine. I was just driving around. Dan Patrick was on Fox Sports 640, South Florida Fox Radio. And he goes, oh, yeah, the combine makes great television if there's absolutely nothing else on. And I thought, well, if Dan Patrick can say it, I can say it. It's the most gold-dang boring thing I've ever seen. I'd rather watch tractor pulls. How about you in the combine?
I did watch tractor pulls every day, in the afternoon when they had the World Strongman competition on TSN. Bill Kazmaier, right, pulling the semi trucks and the tractors. I love the combine too, man. I'm a football guy too, so I really enjoy it, but not like I used to. You're right, it's not that exciting. I'm aware enough to understand. It's just guys running around doing drills. Nothing matters. There's no points on the board. There's no scoreboard. There's no winners and losers. All we do is speculate on what all these results mean. And you just keep doing the same thing over and over on a loop for hour after hour after hour. I put it on. There's nothing else on for sure. And I do enjoy it.
The John Deere tractor pull. I used to write those and record those. Silver Tongue Cease. Remember that from Brass & Sons? E. Brass & Sons, your John Deere dealer? That's another language to a lot of people. The Progressive Insurance text line is open, 902-518-3033. I appreciate everybody writing in. Wayne Gretzky comments will largely not be read nor tolerated. Sorry, it's my show, so I can do whatever the hell I want. Have there been any tidbits come out of the combine early on in the week that have piqued your interest? Like for me, there are a few. I'm going to read it coming up in our sports update for Heavy Jim. But the fact that Shedeur Sanders is not going to throw at the combine, but he's going to do it at Colorado's Pro Day, that was one thing. Shiloh Sanders, Shedeur's brother, Deion Sanders' other boy, wasn't invited to the combine. So they went out and hired the skill testing company to come to their house or their local field and time him for the scouts, which I thought was pretty ingenious. If you got the money to do it, why wouldn't you? That's something that stood out for me. And then, of course, mock drafts. You have the number one pick, and the Titans, they're not even talking about trading it, right? Have you heard any? How about you following that?
Yeah, to be honest, they're not really talking about it much at all. And maybe because the Tennessee Titans aren't a premier NHL franchise. Like if the Cowboys had the first overall pick, it'd be round the clock, round the clock, round the clock. Even if the Patriots had it, or, you go through a list of teams that would be way more interesting than the Tennessee Titans. I get that. But no, I'm not hearing a lot of talk about trading it. Now I'm just wondering where they're thinking. Are they done with Will Levis? And quarterback, are you looking at it, looking at Shedeur, looking at Ward? There's some options there for the Titans at number one. Or do you go completely somewhere else? We'll find out. The Combine might have something to say about it.
The CFL Combines are coming up as well. In Waterloo this weekend, the CFL on TSN's Jim Barker will be joining us from there. So, again, I respect all of their interest in it. I'm just not that interested in it. And as you said, you've got into baseball this weekend. Maybe it took them actually playing games. I don't know. But, hey, we can love football during the season and the games. This stuff right now, it just ain't really for me. The draft talk is a little different, though. I did enjoy our discussion, you and I think I brought it up with Jim Barker on Friday, the whole Cam Ward situation, the goaltender for the for the Carolina Hurricanes. No, the quarterback for the Miami Hurricanes, Cam Ward. Would you draft him, given the fact he pulled himself at halftime of the Pop-Tarts Bowl and his team went on to lose? That's a little bit of a different conversation than are you going to watch the Combine? 902-518-3033, the Progressive Insurance text line. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. Kirk writes in from Toronto. Kirk in Toronto writes in. Hi, Rod. Can't believe there was a petition to cancel Gretzky in Edmonton. Big fan. Calling Wayne a traitor is over the top. Get a life, pal. It's a democracy. To park your vote with anyone. And none of your business. This from a guy who wanted Chad Kelly canceled as well. I'm not totally sure who Kirk in Toronto is referring to. Kirk, are you saying the same guy trying to cancel Gretzky, try to cancel Chad Kelly? Is that what you're saying? Or are you saying you tried to cancel Chad Kelly? I don't understand. Can you please clarify? But we've got 4 minutes here left in this segment. And to be honest, aside from NHL's tonight's games, we've got through our quick six show topics here today. I guess we can spend a minute on the great one, if you're comfortable in doing so. I've gone out on the limb in a variety of platforms. I posted a photo of Wayne Gretzky in his Team Canada jersey. Incidentally, my favorite Team Canada jersey of all time. Just saying I love Wayne Gretzky. He's the greatest ambassador hockey's ever had. Represented the country on multiple occasions, obviously to the best of his abilities, and is a great Canadian. So I'm pro Wayne Gretzky. I know it's not convincing a lot of people that are not. But what are you seeing out there? What are you seeing, Moose?
Well, this just goes along with society right now. If you're not all the way on the left, then you're on the right. And if you're not all the way on the right, then you're on the left. And it's got to be one or the other, black or white. You know I like to live in the gray. You know I'm an and, not or. Gretzky can give the American players a thumbs up walking down the bench and still be Canada's guy. That is okay. That makes a lot of people's brains melt. I get it. Because it's like, well, how do you do that and be Canada and not hate the U.S. right now? How do you not stand up against all the rest of that? Hey, somebody in the middle has to say, we want everybody to get along. I mean, I tend to be in the middle as much as anybody, if you know me, and that shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. Gretzky makes his living in the U.S. He lives there. He's lived there a long time. He helped grow the game there, but he's also Canadian, has deep roots playing for Canada, has deep roots playing in Canada with the Oilers and all the rest. Okay, so the guy likes both countries and wants everybody to be happy and wants to keep the American people happy and keep the Canadian people happy. He's in a no-win situation. I have no problem with it. I'll move on. I'll be fine. Gretzky is always going to be fine for me until he really does something that really is not great. But none of this stuff, a thumbs up, not wearing red, all that stuff, that doesn't really mean anything to me.
Well, he gave the pregame speech, read off the roster for Team Canada prior to that game. I think one thing that is driving the cancel crowd crazy is they're not having an impact on any of this. The National Hockey League clearly stands behind Wayne Gretzky. Hockey Canada clearly stands with Wayne Gretzky and the NHL on TNT because he's still representing them at all these events. He's still the face of it. So as much as they're trying to cancel him, it's not working. And I think that's what's driving them the craziest. And you watched Ray Donovan, right? Yeah, you watched Ray Donovan, the series. His dad, Mickey, when he was living in that flea bag apartment in Los Angeles, and he was talking with his neighbor, the dope fiend next door, down the hall. The guy goes, I don't hate anybody. I get along with everybody. It's just easier. Right? That's what Gretzky's trying to do here. And the whole thing about where Gretzky lives and where his kids were born and where he makes his money, people are pissed off that he's friends with Donald Trump and been at the inauguration and was with him the night that he won the election. That's what's got them pissed off the most. It's all about Trump. And Trump, if he had feelings, should feel bad that he's drug his friend Wayne into this. Pretty sure he doesn't. Bomber Boy writes in, he says, I love that Rod isn't succumbing to democracy talk when choosing which comments he wants to read out loud. Yes, see, that's the other thing. It's the Rod Pedersen show. Therefore, I will read the comments that I want to. Funny how that works. It's amazing. You can't control that either, brah. Randy from Winnipeg writes in, says, leave 99 alone. Oh, right. We got football questions coming in. Percolate on this, Moose. I'm going to do you a solid and give you a couple minutes to think about this. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes in, and he says, Moose, interested to know who you think the Titans should pick at number 1 or trade down. Same needs as my Browns at number 2. Quarterback, rush D end, and O-line. How about we give you Myles Garrett for number 1, and we'll have number 1 and 2. Just think about it. We'll be back in a moment. We are live on the Game Plus Television Network. The Progressive Insurance text line's open. 902-518-3033. Switch to Progressive, and you could save big time. We're streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house. Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
The RP Show is brought to you in part by Landmark Cinemas. And Landmark Cinemas now, The Monkey. When twin brothers Bill and Hal find their father's old monkey toy in the attic, a series of gruesome deaths start. The siblings decide to throw the toy away and move on with their lives, growing apart over the years. Starring Tatiana Maslany and Theo James, The Monkey, in Landmark Cinemas now. I do have some interesting hockey things that I want to get to, a big CFL topic, but the Moose is loose. And I gave you 3 minutes to think about what Tony in Cochrane, Alberta had to say about the Titans potentially trading that #1 overall pick. You interested, Moose? What do you think?
I am highly interested. But Tony, you need to wake up and join me in 2025. The trade would be something more like, we'll take Myles Garrett and the #2 overall pick, and you'll get #1. Like, that's pretty much how it's going to work. You're not going to trade Myles Garrett for the #1 overall pick and keep #2. Myles Garrett says he wants out. You don't really have any leverage in that situation. Maybe you can get another later pick from us as compensation, a 5th or 6th round pick, something like that, maybe. But I would definitely do that. I don't mind moving back because we have options. I'm leaning towards Cam Ward, actually, as being my choice. I like what I hear from him. The fire, the way he talks about, taking receipts of all the teams that pass on him, if that's the case. I like Cam Ward. I liked watching him play. I like his arm. I like the way he plays the game. I don't hate Shedeur. Travis Hunter intrigues me too. So if you take Cam Ward at #1, I'd be okay taking Travis Hunter and Myles Garrett. So yeah, I would make that trade. But probably Cleveland's the one team I would trade with. I'm not trading with the Giants or moving further down where 2 or 3 of my picks could be taken. But moving to #2, sure.
We're in one, as they say, on a Monday, episode number 1440. Just all kinds of topics are on the board. We ripped through them all. Plus some topics that I didn't even want to get into, including Wayne Gretzky. But I can also smell a controversy like a fart in the car, and you don't want to ignore it, as we're not going to roll the windows down here. Nope. John Ohm in Winnipeg says, number 99 is a Canadian. Next. Oh, exactly. I don't... This popped into my head over the weekend. It's like, do you think the NHL, and we've done enough shows that you can handle this. I really don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm going to do it anyways. Do you think the NHL would prefer that Wayne was not friends with Donald Trump, or?
Of course.
I don't. Yeah, you do?
Of course.
You jumped into that one quicker than I thought.
Yeah, every league does. Like, look, Rod, like, you know me, like, I can play that world because I understand it a little bit. Just anti-controversy. You want all your people to be anti-controversy. You want them to shake everybody's hands. You want the stars to be welcomed by everybody. You don't want to deal with the controversy, especially when it comes to your stars. So it is a distraction. At the end of the day, is it a bad thing to be cozied up to the president, no matter who it is? Not really. I think publicly they would love him to not be arm in arm with Donald Trump and have any of that. But I don't think they really have a problem with him being friends, but they'd rather that not be a public thing and be in the spotlight, because all it ends up being is a distraction. And this negativity that's being flung at the greatest player of all time, that doesn't help the NHL. But I know the NHL doesn't really see it the same way and doesn't have a big issue right now. Wayne's fine.
I hope so. I mean, this is where I've debated with commissioners for years, and what I realize is they win because it's their league. But it's like controversy sells. So if you want to applaud the 28 million plus that tuned into those 2 USA-Canada games, you might want to thank Trump for stirring up all the crap. Like, that's the truth, you know? And you
Right.
say that they don't like controversy, which they don't. And that's where I'm at this real loggerheads in my life is I may or may not get into sports on a full-time basis, but while I'm here dancing around the periphery and working in the mental health and addictions field, if you have problems, you deal with them head on, right on the nose. You deal with them at the time and get over it, right? Not ignore it. And what the leagues want to do is ignore it. It'll go away like a turd in the sandbox. And I guess eventually it will. Is this Gretzky one going away? Probably not. Every time his face is on TV, on NHL, on TNT, he's going to get ripped. Every time he says something, he's going to get ripped. So it's not going away. And that's where I differ from the leagues. But again, it's their league. So Ron is watching in Calgary. He texts in from the 403 and he says, the unfortunate thing is Gretzky will never be looked at the same way. His choice, just not a fan anymore. I'm conservative too, just a smart one. That's the other thing. Wayne Gretzky, Darren, before you were born, you know, I don't know if you've seen the Boys on the Bus documentary. He was always the delicate one that didn't take his side, didn't get in, never misspoke, never did anything wrong, never put himself in a position of controversy. So this whole thing's kind of thrown us all a loop because it's so not what Wayne Gretzky's ever done. And again, if Trump hadn't come out and acted like an idiot, that none of this would be as big a problem. Go ahead.
No, you're right. But the thing about this is like Wayne isn't really fighting it or coming out and saying anything. Wayne's just living his life. He's just going where he wants to go and doing what he wants to do and understanding, hey, like this isn't wrong. I'm doing it. You know, it's not like he's coming out saying things about Donald Trump. At least I haven't heard them. Or, you know, fighting back with the people who are trying to cancel him or saying negative things about him. He's not coming out like that. You know, he's just doing his thing and living his life the way he feels is right. So I don't think Wayne's really doing anything wrong really here. And I think, you know what, when Donald Trump in 4 years, like, let's hope, hope that that's the case, that we still have 4 years and he's out, like that kind of thing. But in 4 years when he's out, and Wayne's going to keep moving along, analyzing hockey, talking to the players, being the great one, we're going to forget all about this. So I do think it will go away with time.
I hope you're right. Shy in Saskatchewan writes in and says, what the hell is Trump doing? Nothing but controversy. See, again, he's the problem. The whole don't shoot the messenger concept isn't exactly this, but it's close. Why is Wayne getting all the hell for what Trump did? What I say last week, don't judge a man by his wife. It's one of the first things my dad taught me. Utah Darren writes in and says, Gretzky picked the worst controversy for his first. Man, did he ever. Okay, Moose. Smoke him if you got him. We'll see you back here in hour 2.
All right, I'll see you in a little bit.
We'll be right back with a mini overtime, everybody. We'll tell you what's going on besides all this in the world of sports in a second here on the Game Plus Television Network, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Trying to keep it civil, and dag nabbit, I think we're doing a pretty good job of it. How about your heavy gym sports headlines on this Monday, y'all? Team Canada's Rachel Homan of Ottawa stole 2 points in the 8th end to break open a close game en route to a 6-1 win over Carrie Anderson of Manitoba in the Scotties Tournament of Hearts Championship game in Thunder Bay, Ontario, Sunday night. Homan became the first women's skip to win back-to-back national titles with an undefeated record. How about that?
How about that?
Stateside, Fresno State's men's basketball team is under investigation for potential ties to sports gambling. The school has already removed one player from the team and suspended 2 of its top 3. Meanwhile, the NBA's 76ers and Joel Embiid are considering alternative options, including surgery for his injured knee, which isn't improving. The former MVP played just 39 games last season and 19 so far this season. And Shadur Sanders, the potential number 1 pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, won't throw at this week's NFL Combine, focusing instead on his interviews with teams. He will throw at Colorado's Pro Day. The sports update is for Heavy Gym, and Heavy Gym isn't just about lifting weights. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. Brian's watching in Hudson's Bay, and he says, loved the Scotties. Rachel Homan is the greatest female curler ever. Not even a debate. She has the whole package at the highest level. That's the one thing we can all agree on. Maybe they'll bring her out to represent Team Canada next time. I don't know. People that know curling more than me, is she in fact the GOAT? How many national titles did Jennifer Jones win? I know that Rachel has been more dominant, as you just said. And I'll tell you something. She is cool as hell. She is cooler than the other side of the pillow. I did an event with her. Said it many times. You all know. I did an event in Paradise Hills, Saskatchewan with Daryl and Brian Sutter, Buddy Benz Miller, Chuck Wagon legend, and Rachel Homan. And she was, well, not probably, she was the best speaker out of all of them. I asked her what she thought about the fact that female skips that win the Scotties, the national championship, are finally going to get paid as much as the men. She's like, oh, great. Can we do it retroactively for the 3 I've already won?
How about that?
But at least she's making up for it. John Ohm in Winnipeg says, you want controversy? Do the Russians get to be in the Olympics if they end the war with Ukraine? Ain't that a hot one? As Fred Flintstone would say, that's a hot one, Bonnie. In that, if they're going to do it, they better hurry up. I mean, I don't know how the Olympics works, but I'm a year away, less than a year away. So you would think they're making a lot of plans for the countries that are going to be there. I would suggest right now that no, Russia's not in it, war or otherwise. There you go. Thank you, Blaine. Writes in and says, Colleen Jones won 6 Scotties. I think Tony from Cochrane, Alberta, you got to get a new Google machine, Tony. You got to get a new Google. I got to go with Blaine's number. I mean, we can look this up real close. Colleen Jones won 6. So let's not forget about Colleen Jones, let alone Jennifer Jones, keeping up with the Joneses. Colleen Jones is still the GOAT. And that will offend some people. You know, intentions go a long way. Intentions go a long way. We can call Tom Brady the GOAT. We can call Don Cherry the GOAT. Nobody gets offended. Colleen Jones is still the GOAT. We'll talk about this a lot more coming up after the break, everybody.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Do you believe in sports curses? Mike White, who's supposed to be the next big thing with the Jets, goes down in the first quarter, but they're saying there's got to be a curse on the Jets. And our question to you, the viewers, is do you believe in sports curses? Can't make up my mind whether I believe in them or not. Because on one hand, I say the harder you work, the luckier you get. But on the other hand, I'm very spiritual and believe there's a plan and all the rest, so I don't know.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Guilty as charged, Rick Regan. Thank you. Welcome inside, everybody. It is Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show, and we allow 32 U.S. states to tune in, including this one. Florida, USA. Moose is in Toronto, home of the Blue Jays. And they're rained out today, their game against the Detroit Tigers there. And I knew this was going to be a great show today. I appreciate your involvement. I appreciate you jumping out with your opinions. Was that hard to do on the Gretzky thing or not, man? What's in your coffee today? You're very opinionated,
I know, right?
Today, Moose.
Well, I feel strongly about it. I mean, look, let's not make a big deal about things that don't need to be made a big deal about. And the other one, I've come on this saying, let them, right? Let them. They want to do something, let them. Does it affect me? Let them. If a car doesn't want to signal and I can manage not hitting them, let them, whatever, let them. Let people do what they're going to do.
I appreciate Ryan. I appreciate everybody. I appreciate everybody tuning in. My guy, Ryan, writes it. Ryan Thomas, former captain of the Regina Pats, God's team. I love Tommy, even though we knock heads quite a bit. Ryan writes in on the Progressive Insurance text line at 902-518-3033. Says, Roddy, you were a total professional last week when the Madmouth blindsided you on his live show. Maybe he should take his own advice and read his own book. That was so unprofessional and uncalled for. I told Moose about it. The Motor City Madmouth Scott Morganroth went after me on his show last week, and it was a setup. It was an ambush, but as I said, I've got big shoulders. I can handle it. But thank you, Tommy, for tuning in to that and this. Again, I'm evolved. I've matured. I'm at a little bit of a crux here. Like, for instance, I didn't want to talk about the Gretzky thing today. I've made my point. You've made yours. We're on his side, or at least I'll speak for myself. I'm on Gretzky's side, and I always will be, and I wanted to move on. Yet everybody wants to talk about it, so it's okay. You're not going to change my opinion, but I just roll with it. I don't want to stand back and fight, but we will hear all the opinions. We'll air all the grievances, which reminds me, we still live in a democracy. Let's not forget. And we can vote on things like today's poll question. Let's get it back in order here. The poll question today has to do with the Edmonton Oilers, who got blown up on the weekend. 6-3 in Philly on Saturday, 7-3 in Washington Sunday. The poll question is, do the Edmonton Oilers need a new goaltender? Let's get some real sports talk in here. For EMJ Marketing, look them up at emjmarketing.com and look up Joe there. They'll provide the perfect keynote speaker for your event. Look, just to refresh, I said no, they do not, and I gave my reasons why. You've already tabbed Stuart Skinner. You drafted him, you developed him, you went all the way with him. How do you cast him aside now? That's not what good teams do. They don't do that. What are you voting? Just to refresh my memory, do the Oilers need a new goalie?
I'm voting no. And I kind of, with the caveat of look, I think they should explore upgrading in net. I don't think you ignore that, but not at any cost. It has to be the right move. I'm confident in Stuart Skinner because, look, he's not the guy until he's the guy. He's not going to, until he gets it done. Everybody was crapping all over Jordan Binnington. So I don't really have a lot of time for the crapping on Stuart Skinner talk because what are you going to do when he steals you a Stanley Cup? That could happen, right? People said Jordan Binnington was never going to do it. They're not going to win with Binnington. Canada's not. But yet he did it. He stole them of 4 nations. His legacy will last forever based on winning a cup and then what he did in overtime of the 4 nations. Between him and McDavid, the two of them won the 4 nations. So Skinner will be the same. He has a chance to write his own story. If you're in the NHL, you're capable, period. If you're in the NHL, I think you're capable. It's just a matter of, do the situations and circumstances line up to allow you to have that moment? And Skinner will have another opportunity this spring.
We're both voting no. Now, I called up TSN's list of trade bait. And I would say this is subjective. I mean, I love and respect all those guys, but this is their list. That's not to say it's the list. And for a second, I skimmed it real close. There's 30 names on it, and I didn't see any goalies. But upon further review, Anaheim's John Gibson is the 9th rated highest on the trade bait list. Here are those, for those as we get ready for the March 7th deadline. Islanders' Brock Nelson, number 1. Pittsburgh's Rickard Rakell, number 2. Vancouver's number 3, Carson Soucy. Number 4, Montreal defenseman David Savard. Number 5, Boston center Trent Frederick. Number 6, Philly D-man Rasmus Ristolainen. 7, Seth Jones of Chicago. 8, Utah's Nick Bjugstad. 9th, the aforementioned John Gibson. 10th, Braden Shen of the St. Louis Blues. Ryan Donato, Jake Evans. I'm reading them in order here. Ivan Provorov, Ryan Strome, Ryan O'Reilly again. Nick Robertson of Toronto. Matthew Oliver, Brandon Tanev, Scott Laughlin, Yanni Gourde. This is not... What should I say? It's not the luxury liner cruise ship buffet. It's the Golden Corral at 3 p.m. I'm sorry. So even if the Oilers wanted to get a goalie, And there are those watching at Edmonton here that wrote in and said the Oilers have already said they're not going out to get a goal. You're not going to get somebody better than Stuart Skinner, so why are we even talking about it at all? Other than, I don't know, trust me, I'm so out of touch and so old. These media in Edmonton that are fanning the flames of which goalie they should get, do they actually believe it, or are they just doing it for clicks? What do you think, Moose?
Little of A, little of B, probably a lot because they're frustrated or the team's not, has games like they did on the weekend. And then you always look to, okay, where can they be better? Well, they're not going to get better than McDavid and Draisaitl, so it's got to be in goal or on the back end, maybe. But it depends, like who becomes available. That's the big question. Who becomes available? Who decides to sell goaltenders that aren't on that list? Like John Gibson is a really good goaltender, and he's been in the conversation for the last number of years. But that was 3-4 years ago now, where it was a real hot commodity and the deals never happened. To me, John Gibson's good, but he would just be trading, an apple, a Gala apple for a Macintosh apple, right? That's a preference. And who's going to deliver? I think Stuart Skinner has just as much of an opportunity to deliver as John Gibson does. That would literally be a change of scenery, just a new person in move. It wouldn't necessarily be a shocking upgrade. And I don't know who's going to come available in that.
Well, I think Oiler fans should be more upset at their team. I mean, you're coming out of the break. Connor McDavid is understandably gassed. Let's settle into this a little more because it is late February. We're on the air in Canada and allowing U.S. viewers to tune in, but they better be hockey fans if they're watching, and that they are. That's why they're here. Both games on the weekend for the Oilers, both teams had sub 20 hits. Both teams were it was like 18-18 hits in one game and like 18-16 in the other. So it was a no-hitter for one. And there's something about these Oilers that they need to be woken up. They go on these stretches. Like you look at the Calgary Flames, they're playing their bags off every night. And that's why everybody in Calgary is so excited and they love this Flames group. And as a matter of that, it's like any Canadian market. I can't speak enough about America. I haven't lived here long enough. But any Canadian market, whatever your team is, football team, hockey team, tiddlywinks, baseball, if you work hard enough, they will, and you don't make the playoffs or you don't win, at least you worked hard enough. They respect that. And in Edmonton, I would be upset at my team because from time to time, they need a stick of dynamite jammed where the sun don't shine. Like let's just forget about McDavid. He was -6 combined in both games and 1 assist. He gets a pass. But everybody else, they were outshot handily by the Capitals. I don't know why it is that they always need to dump on the goalies in Edmonton. It's not like they don't know hockey. Leaf fans aren't like that, I don't think. Leaf fans aren't like that.
No, and that's the way it is in Edmonton. And you're right, though. Like they get woken up, and when they are all bought in and rolling, like that's when you win 15 in a row. And that's just, they're capable of that. They are absolutely capable of that. But everybody likes to speculate. So here's a speculation that comes from no basis at all. I mean, what are you going to do if you're the Oilers? Like Braden Shen was on that trade bait list, and he's been linked to the Toronto Maple Leafs if they're willing to move him and manage that cap hit. And he's been linked to a couple other places. If they decide to move off Braden Shen, maybe they decide to go in a rebuild mode. So then maybe you throw a little bit of the farm at the Blues for Jordan Binnington. Like that's something I could get behind and understand. If you wanted to make a move and move Skinner and some draft picks and a prospect or two and get Jordan Binnington out of St. Louis, now we're maybe talking, but like that's it. Like I don't know where else you're looking for an upgrade in goal. That's one to me that after the Four Nations maybe becomes a conversation starter, but I don't really know that that's necessary.
I appreciate everybody perking up on the topic of hockey. And number one, it's 1:11 Eastern. Visualize a positive outcome to your current quagmire. Trust me, it works. What do you got to lose? There is a CFL point I want to get to before I let you adjourn today, so I will get to it. Please remind me of it before you go. But Bummer Boy writes in, he says, the price for Anaheim's John Gibson is beyond what Edmonton can afford. Tony from Cochrane writes, and he says, is it just me or does Gretzky's wine have a double entendre? Tad in Red Deer says, of course, I'd trade for a goalie, but not sure I'd bet my job on Skinner and company either. BW in Edmonton says, it's clickbait. Edmonton has 3 sports radio online services, got to create headlines. Then there are podcasts that only talk Oilers. Okay, so I get it. I got sucked down the rabbit hole of this one. I'm just not buying it. Ron in Calgary writes, and he says, sorry, I have to disagree with Moose. Edmonton will not win a cup with Skinner as the number 1. But agree, no goalies are available. Guy, they got to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup last year and lost 2-1 in that Game 7. They very easily could have won a Stanley Cup already with Stuart Skinner, so how can you say they never will? Come on. One thing about the Southern Albertans, I love them, but they cannot take their red glasses off, and will not. Bill in Brantford, Ontario writes in and says, haven't heard anything negative in Brantford about Wayne Gretzky. His statue is still standing in front of the arena named after him. Signed Bill in Brantford, Ontario. My God, if they turned on him, then I'm out. Stop the world. I want to get off. Okay, real quick on the curling. Who's the best? Colleen Jones, Rachel Holman, Jennifer Jones. Chad in Lethbridge writes in. He says, are we forgetting about Sandra Schmirler? Gold medalist and multiple Scotties and world curling champion. Rachel is great, but she ain't Schmirler the curler. And Gary in Winnipeg says Jennifer Jones is now the coach for Holman's Team Canada team. Okay, CFL, because you and I are big fans, here's our daily talk of the Canadian Football League, and we'll bring in Brien Rea, Dallas Stars TV host. Have you noticed, with the college football wars, with the haves and the have-nots, the teams with the biggest payrolls win? OSU. Junior hockey is going to be the same. Brooks Bandits. They've been doing it for years. The separation between the haves and the have-nots is just the way that it is. It's like everybody's thrown in the towel. And now at the CFL, they're like, well, we have this salary cap, but how can we get around it? Oh, yeah, marketing money. What the hell's that? Doesn't matter. Don't ask questions. How much marketing money is there? It's unlimited, but don't ask questions. It's their way around it. So the big spenders, the well-heeled owners won't necessarily win, but they'll give themselves a better chance to win. A la Dodgers, Mets, Yankees, you name it. I don't have a problem with it. It's in my Monday morning goalie column today at rodpeterson.com. I'm not cheering for any specific CFL team, so it's fun to sit back and watch. They're going back to the 90s, and I don't have a problem with it. Do you?
No. Eventually it'll all level itself out, I think. But no, I don't really have a problem with it because we want teams to want to spend. We want to create that. And if there's a reward for it, great. But at the end of the day, it's a business for everybody. So no owner is just going to spend money to lose money year over year over year over year. They're going to spend for the results. But if that doesn't work and they're not making the right decisions year over year and there's massive losses on the books every year, that spending will stop or changes will be made. So I'm okay with it. I really am. I like competition. I like that. I think, it breeds more success. I think it's a good thing. I think controlling everything breeds mediocrity, which I'm not a fan of.
Ooh, we have some delicious comments that have come in on the Progressive Insurance text line. Switch to Progressive, and you could say big time. We'll push them till later in the program because Brien Rea is coming up next from Dallas Stars TV. Great job, Moose. Have a wonderful Toronto afternoon.
All right. Have a good one.
We're heading to the Big D next. We are live on the Game Plus television network, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
Sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hour two of the program brought to you by Culligan Water. Clear water, clear choice. Filter out the bad and taste the good. Culligan Water of Regina. Check him out at culliganregina.com. Only 2 NHL games tonight. San Jose at Winnipeg. Vegas at Los Angeles. We're pleased to welcome in Brien Rea, Dallas Stars TV host. And one thing about Brien, our chats usually take the off-ramp to Zany Town. We never know where it's going with this guy, and I always appreciate his cheerful and smiling countenance. How you doing, Brien?
After an intro like that, how could I not be doing well? And who knows what rabbit hole we're climbing down today, but bring it on. Let's get into it, brother.
It's amazing what comes up. You just never know. Okay, scale of 1 to 10. You are on the Dallas Stars TV broadcast. You're from St. Louis. Scale of 1 to 10. What was your disappointment level of USA losing in overtime to Canada in the final of the Four Nations, if you don't mind me asking?
My disappointment level is probably at 9. First of all, my co-host is a Canadian, and our immediate broadcast following the Four Nations, he was wearing his Canadian sweater. He had the floor. I'm going to have to wear a Team Canada jersey at an upcoming broadcast here because I lost the bet of Canada-US in the championship. So I've got quite a bit of disappointment here, probably 9 out of 10. The reason it's not a full 10 is because at least here in the U.S., what that tournament did for hockey's popularity this season and moving forward into the Stanley Cup playoffs is absolutely sensational. To have 9.5 million Americans watching that game is incredible. None of us could have predicted that down here in the States.
Actually, I'm glad that you went that way. Same thing here in Florida. Everybody was watching it. Everybody's kind of still talking about it, which surprises me a little bit. But let me ask you this. The injuries. Matthew Tkachuk's going to miss some time. Charlie McAvoy, same. Shea Theodore, same. And the football people, of which I'm in that world too, they're like, this is why we don't have a Pro Bowl anymore. I say it's worth it. The injuries will heal, but I'm not necessarily right. How are you on that argument?
You might have just opened the rabbit hole, because I agree with you. I think in the cost and benefit analysis, this is just part of hockey. Look, the players want this, and clearly fans wanted to see it again because you had 9.5 million people tune in. I understand owners' complaints. If I'm paying these guys an NHL paycheck, I don't want them coming back to the NHL season hurt from international competition. But the NHL here in the States has always been number 4 out of the 4 major sports. And you just put yourself at the top of the sports news cycle with this event purely on that alone. I think because of how powerful football is, any type of event like this, international competition, etc., it has to be done in season. You can't do it in the summer because the calendar doesn't work. You have the Stanley Cup awarded, you have draft, you have free agency, you have the start of training camp. It just doesn't work. You can't do it in September because you're still stuck in baseball and you're in the heart of college football and NFL season. You're going to get creamed in those ratings. The only place on the calendar this works is in February during your All-Star break or Olympic break next season. So you're partly forced into this just based on the sports landscape in your calendar. But I think the other part of it is this is the only time you can maximize your revenue and viewership eyeballs of it. So whatever injuries occur in February, they're going to bleed over into your NHL season, and it's just the cross to bear. This is life of hockey. This is just part of the uniqueness of the NHL sport.
I think it's worth it. I mean, I get what the football guys are saying for all the reasons you just said. And it's also a great example of how the world's changed, because my favorite international tournament was '87 Canada Cup. It was in the summer. But it was a different world then, bro. That was 40 years ago. It's just not the same anymore. Allie writes in from Texarkana. You know Allie from Texarkana. She says, hey, Brien, just in time. I think I need to wrap the rest of my team in bubble wrap. And she says Sevi was showing out. Okay, so to your team, the Dallas Stars, they're always in the mix, Brien. How they feel? Like, we're in the home stretch now, right? That's what I'm hearing. We're in the home stretch now. Are we going with that?
Oh, absolutely. Look, we're 25 games left. You're in the final third. You're in the final quarter of the season. As for the bubble wrap, look, Liam Bichsel went down last night with a check to the head, and there's no update on short-term or long-term prognosis. But between Tyler Seguin being out, Miro Heiskanen being out, now Liam Bichsel is out for now. We'll see what happens there. But the Dallas Stars basically went injury-free each of the past 2 seasons. The hockey gods do not let a team go 3 straight years without an injury situation. They don't. They will find you at some point, and they have found the Dallas Stars this season. They're still second in the Central. They're top 5 in the league overall, so they have built themselves a really nice margin of error. We will see what happens with Miro Heiskanen's injury and if he can come back during the regular season. That is how Jim Nill has been operating. He has not put him on LTIR. And then we'll see what the story is with Liam Bichsel in the short term and the long term after his check to the head last night. It's difficult to see your players get injured at such a crucial time. However, they have built themselves up some runway here with what they've done up to this point. And this team needs to be healthy on game 1 of the playoffs. That's where they're at. This is a playoff-focused team in trying to get back to the Final Four in the Stanley Cup final, not what can they do in the final 25 games. They have to do something with those, but there's a bigger picture for the Dallas Stars and where their health will stand in about a month or so.
Well, trade deadline is March 7th, and I don't know about you. I take a lot of opinions here, and then I have to shower them off after because very rarely do people agree with me. I don't enjoy the fake news at trade deadline. I hate it. This guy could go here. This guy could go there. I read the other day that Mikko Rantanen could be headed to Dallas, and I'm like, what? But the fact that he's even in Colorado, or sorry, no,
Carolina now.
Martinez could be going to Dallas. Yeah, Carolina. The fact that even happened. Sorry, I can't. But here's my point. I can't keep it all straight. I can't keep it straight, Brian. So the Star, we were reading earlier the list of trade bait from TSN. It's not the most tantalizing list. Now, what do you think the Stars are going to do?
Well, first of all, we live in a clickbait society. And the sooner you learn to accept that, I think the easier life will get. And the best way to do clickbait is to insert big name X into random destination Y and let the comment section or the reply section go bananas. It's all feeding an algorithm there. As for the Dallas Stars and the trade deadline, even before Miro Heiskanen went down with an injury, I was always of the mindset, and this is my opinion, I am not putting a name out there, but I was of the opinion they needed to shore up their blue line, preferably a top four defenseman. Now, whether you want to go puck mover, right side, left side, those are all semantics that you can battle through. But I thought they needed a top four defenseman because you still have not truly replaced the hole that was left behind from Chris Tanev. Knowing Jim Nill's past behavior, he loves his defensive depth. So I don't think he's done adding to this Dallas Stars roster, and I would think he is looking towards the blue line. That is where his focus is. Who could that be? Seth Jones is the sexy name right now that some of those websites like to put out there. I don't know how Dallas's salary cap math can add his salary for another 5 years. The math doesn't add up to me. I'm not saying it can't happen. Anything can happen with a phone call and a decision by two GMs. I'm just saying the math doesn't make sense to me. Rasmus Ristolainen's name has been out there from Philly. That math is a little bit easier, but I don't know if that works too well. A name that is intriguing to me, and once again, this is my own opinion. I am not speculating. I am not putting this out there. But a player like Jamie Oleksiak in Seattle, who I think is around that $4 or $4.5 million cap hit, and I think previously in his career, he's played on the left side and the right side. For me, that's the kind of blue liner that offers some flexibility both on the ice and salary cap wise that I think Dallas could do something with, because they also have the cost of acquiring the player, and they just spent the first-round pick on getting Mikael Granlund. So part of their bank account to go spend at the trade deadline is a little depleted as well. That's the kind of player that I think Dallas would have to look at. I'm not saying it's going to be that specific player, but that's where I look at. I don't look at Seth Jones. I don't look at this top pair.
Did he freeze or did I freeze? Oh, we got to get him back. I'm literally hanging on every word. We got you now. We got you now. You're up.
Oh, did I cut out on you?
You did, but that's good. I knew you were. I knew that you were bringing the plane in. So, see if I got this right. I can see the gossip rag headline now. Stars Brien Rea says Dallas acquiring Jamie Oleksiak.
Of course.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm just, okay. Let me just to finish that for a second. It was like the last 5 seconds of your word that we didn't get. But the thing with Oleksiak, I just saw him in here with Seattle on the weekend. The Stars know him, right? He was an original Stars draft choice.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that plays into it? They would know what they're getting in Jamie Oleksiak, and if I recall, they think a lot of him. Didn't they lose him in the expansion draft? Nobody wants to lose their guys. That's how he got away, wasn't it?
Yeah. They lost him in the expansion draft, and once again, I was just throwing him out as an example. But I do think if you want to play the matchmaker game, Evgeny Dadonov, when he came in here a couple of years ago, played for Peter DeBoer. Mikael Granlund came from San Jose. Well, San Jose's assistant GM used to work for the Dallas Stars. Somebody like Jamie Oleksiak, who has past history with an organization, I do think if there is some familiarity there in some fashion between coach and player, GM and player, it does help maybe facilitate the comfort level for somebody to acquire a player at some price at the deadline. So we'll see. But my thought is Jim Nill is looking to add to the blue line. He's done that in the past. Defensive depth is important to him. I think if he is going to make a move, that is where it would probably happen.
Okay, lastly, just a comment on that. The last two Stanley Cup winners, Florida, Vegas, very active at the deadline. It does work. It matters. Hey, wasn't that long ago you were doing Texas Rangers baseball? I just want to mention, are you on that scene again? Are you excited for it to fire up? You going to be on doing that again this year or no?
You know, I'm not on the scene again. They've jumped over with us on our Victory Plus channel, so we're happy to have them along. But in doing that, I think they've kind of taken a little more independence on their part and using their own people, which is great. But nonetheless, I was so pumped for everybody I worked with over there when they won that World Series, and I'm excited to watch them this year. They had a down year last year, but you know, you hope Jacob deGrom can get healthy again and be the type of pitcher they expect him to be. I think it could be a really good bounce back for them this season, especially with maybe a team like Houston possibly taking a step back. So I'm pumped, but not until the playoffs are done. I'll turn into baseball mode when the playoffs are done.
Well, it's been a long time since I followed that Dallas sports scene, since my dad was working for the Stars for so long. Do you feel somewhat smothered by Cowboys talk, or is there enough of it with Rangers and Stars to keep you satisfied?
No, the talk has been Luka Doncic going to the Lakers and that whole implosion. That's what smothered Dallas sports talk for a while. But the beautiful thing is I think the Four Nations, and circling this back to our original topic, kind of reinvigorated the popularity of, this is a Dallas Stars team that's making a run towards a Stanley Cup. So I think this is a market that's going to start jumping on that bandwagon over the next 2 to 3 weeks when they get ready to make their push.
Good to hear. Brien, thanks for the time as always, man. I just appreciate you so much. Good luck down the stretch here. Hopefully we can do it in the playoffs.
There is no topic off limits with you, man. I appreciate it.
No, not at all. Dallas Stars TV host Brien Rea joining us from the Big D. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover in a moment. We're live across Canada on the Game Plus television network and 32 U.S. states, including the great state of Texas. Streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. the Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Okay, it's a Monday. Pleased to have you aboard, getting after it as we open a brand new week here on Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show, the RP Show, coming at you live on the Game Plus TV network, which is anchored in Toronto, but also headquartered in New York, right, boys? Anthem Sports, if I'm not mistaken.
How about that?
Doesn't change what I got to do, I'll tell you that. Progressive Insurance text lines open, 902-518-3033. Switch to Progressive, and you could save big time. I'm just updating the phone. I should have done that earlier. Mandy in Edmonton writes in, I said I had some salacious texts to read that would have to wait. She says, let me know when you get into the individual updates and gossip side of professional athletes. Yeah, you'll be waiting a long time, Mandy. We're not doing that. Learned that lesson, learned it the hard way, not doing it. Not the show for that. But good try. Grant in Edmonton writes in and he says, these same people online trying to cancel Gretzky are the same people that canceled Cherry. But Gretz is too big, and the world has changed a little since then. It was only 2019 that Cherry got canceled. And to be honest, he was canceled by his own employers, Sportsnet. I mean, clearly I'm not in favor of the cancel culture crowd. I'm just not, I don't think like them. I don't get it. And I think it's just driving them crazy that they had their way for so long, and now they're not getting their way, and they can't deal with it. So we'll see how it ends. Gary in Winnipeg writes in, he says, heat wave in Winnipeg today, +4 Celsius. And the Winnipeg Jets are on a 10-game win streak. Thank you, Gary, for the weather report and sports report from the Slurpee capital. I never did get Moose's picks. I'm going to guess that we're both going to take Winnipeg to beat San Jose tonight. That's an easy one. No, they don't even have trap games there in Winnipeg. They're just steamrolling everybody. And Vegas at L.A., I'll take Vegas. Moose will take L.A. I'll confirm that with him later, but there's only 2 games. And Darren had a big night in the last night that we did picks. He beat me, and now the score on the season of 2025 is 56 correct picks by me, 54 by Darren. What's on the line? Haven't decided yet. Just before I dip into the sports update here, Allie in Texarkana says, well, that just made my Monday better. Thank you, Clark. She means for lining up Brien Rea.
How about that?
I'm going to tell you something, man. There's something about Brien. I just enjoy the dude's energy. Notice how he's always smiling. He's always primped and proper. He's a very positive guy. And I like that. Who wants to be around a negative sourpuss? Not me. And Allie goes on to say, who are the Cowboys? LOL. It's funny. You may or may not believe this as a sports fan and RP show viewer, but those 26 years that my dad was working for the Dallas Stars, he'd come back from Dallas from his business trips down there and scouting trips. Hey, I forgot to put my glasses back on. How about that? And he would say, yeah, the Cowboys and Stars don't get along. I never really noticed it until you start paying attention, and then they snip at each other from time to time on social media. It happened. You would like to think all teams in a market get along, but they don't always. Some cities they do, some cities they don't. Cowboys and Stars don't get along. Has a little to do with the big cheese in town. Randy in Winnipeg writes in regarding trade bait. He says, will Colton Parayko be available? Heard he might be. Well, I guess that's going to depend where St. Louis is approaching the trade deadline. Did we... If there's one thing that Wayne Gretzky's proved, there's actually two things. One, anybody can be traded. That is a fact. Anybody can be traded. And number two, anybody can be attempted to be canceled because they're trying on Wayne, but it's not working. I think what bothers me the most is how people change history. This whole idea of Wayne turning his back on Canada, going to the USA, August 9th, 1988, traded from the Edmonton Oilers to the LA Kings. Never went back. Didn't want to go. Wasn't his choice. It's the way I understand it, and I think you people in Edmonton would agree. 40 years later, they're trying to cancel him. It's in Canada. It's disgusting. Okay. Heavy Jim sports update. Team Canada's Rachel Homan of Ottawa stole 2 points in the eighth end to break open a close game en route to a 6-1 win over Carrie Anerson of Manitoba in the Scotties Tournament of Hearts championship game in Thunder Bay, Ontario. Homan became the first women's skip to win back-to-back national titles with an undefeated record. Place line, Milwaukee. It wasn't too long ago that many colleges weren't even selling alcoholic beverages at sporting events on campus. Now, dozens upon dozens of them are partnering with local breweries to have their own officially licensed craft beers to sell at games and in local grocery stores, with schools or collectives getting part of the proceeds. Sponsorships and licensing company Learfield manages sports sponsorships for over 160 universities and licensing agreements for nearly 800 colleges. It says 93 of its schools had licensing deals for alcoholic beverages for the first 6 months of the current fiscal year. Hey, former bar owner here or restaurant, nothing makes money more than booze. Legally. We got to find a way to pay this NIL. If you know, you know. We're kind of caught in the middle of how much do you care? How much do you care? Or do you just want to watch the games? You got college athletes making $1 million+ per year, millions per year. Somehow you got to pay for it. So now they're going to sell booze in the stadiums for, in some cases, for the first time ever. You got to make the money. Got to pay the players. Not laughing about this, but Carson Beck is the quarterback for the Miami Hurricanes, transferred from Georgia. These are colleges, people. And last week, he had his black Lamborghini stolen from his new place in Miami. We're like, welcome to Florida. College kids, black Lamborghini stolen. But he had several other foreign exotic cars at his disposal. College kid playing football. Place line, Tampa. The Yankees will play Frank Sinatra's version of the theme from New York, New York, only after home wins, instead of all games in the Bronx, going back to the original custom set by owner George Steinbrenner in 1980. The Yankees said players and staff were tired of hearing a celebratory song following defeats. The pendulum's swinging back. It's making the hair on my back stand up. What idiot made the decision, we're going to play New York, New York, even after we lose? But we don't do that. We're doing it now. Not anymore. Common sense is prevailing, for the love of God. Theo said we'd gone too far. It was never coming back. Theo was wrong. Indianapolis, place line, home of the NFL Combine. Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter is creating a distinctly different atmosphere as this year's NFL Scouting Combine begins. Yes, he's coming to Indy, listed as a defensive back, but some also consider the former Colorado star the best receiver in this year's draft class, and he could work out at both positions this week, making him the most intriguing two-way prospect in Combine history. The question is, where does he fit best? And will he work out at either or both positions this week? I would think that he would. We were out on the boat a couple of weekends ago. My good friend Elijah, who's 13 years old, this is what he's into, the 3 Fs, football, Fortnite, and fishing. He's 13. He goes, like, Travis Hunter's from here, you know. I said, well, if you were the Tennessee Titans and had the number 1 overall pick, Elijah, who would you take? He's like, Travis Hunter. He's the best player. We'll see. Speaking of the NFL, the Carolina Panthers are moving on from longtime linebacker Shaq Thompson. The Panthers informed Thompson, who is an unrestricted free agent, that they will not be re-signing him. Thompson is expected to pursue other options in free agency. The 30-year-old spent 9 years in Carolina, but been limited to just 6 games over the last 2 seasons because of injuries. The sports update is brought to you by Heavy Gym. Heavy Gym isn't just about lifting weights. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. We'll be right back with Overtime right after this. We are live on the Game Plus Television Network. Get those questions and comments in. Progressive Insurance text line 902-518-3033. Get them in. 902-518-3033. Switch to Progressive, and you could save big time. We're streaming as well, live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Okie dokie, artichokey. We're back for overtime, as you all know, and it's brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. If you're looking for the perfect place to perfect your shot, look no further than Overtime Hockey Lanes. With state-of-the-art shooting lanes, top-notch equipment, it's the ideal training destination for players of all ages and skill levels. Office parties, birthday parties, team building sessions, they literally can do it all. Trust me. I've been there multiple times. I love it. 28th Street Northeast. Look up Randy and Michelle and tell them you heard of them through the RP show. That would help us out a lot. And you know what? You guys, it's only taken you 1,440 episodes. You're really getting it. We've got some wonderful comments have come in from the viewers here for Viewer Takeover. On the Gretzky thing, a few things here. Colin from Ottawa writes in and he says, what bugs me the most of the attempted cancellation of Wayne Gretzky is that our national news service, CBC, is leading the charge. I would rather not pay for this moralizing through my taxes. All I can say is don't watch them, unfollow them, block them. Not them specifically, but if you're against what they're doing, do that. That's the one thing that I don't understand. Darren and I were talking about it before the show. I got haters, man. There's people writing into our website this morning like crazy. I just hit delete. There's people that I don't like either, but I'm not a hater. I've said this before. I don't like Piers Morgan. The sight of him turns my stomach, but you don't see me ranting about him every day. I haven't thought about him for years. I don't follow everything that he does and trash him and send him anonymous comments. I don't get the will to tear somebody down. CBC wants to do that to Wayne Gretzky, so don't follow them. I only watch CBC for Hockey Night in Canada. Sorry. Not like CBC has really ever done much for me, so I'm not really worried about what they think of me. Unfortunately, so many people in today's world don't want to think for themselves, so they go by what the media tells them, and that is dang dangerous. Randy from Winnipeg writes in and he says, can't somebody like both countries without being ripped into? I do. But nobody comes after me because I think they know how that's going to end. Not good for them. Laverne in Swift Current writes in and he says, I feel a bit better about Wayne Gretzky. He has made his politics and feelings pretty clear. So there is closure on this in my eyes. We've got new heroes who can carry the Canadian hockey torch. Let's move on. That is all true. I don't necessarily think the CBC is going to separate Wayne Gretzky and the NHL, that relationship. I don't think CBC can do that. I guess we're going to find out. So you say, Laverne, let's move on. I would love to. I'm actually stunned. I didn't plan on talking about Gretzky today at all on this show. But the one thing we're learning about the cancel culture mob, they're a resilient bunch. They don't give up. Ron in Calgary writes in, he says, so cool that Sidney Crosby gave the cup to Marchand first because of being in Boston. Now that's class. See, Sidney Crosby has haters too, and please tell me one single thing he's done that has earned him any haters. Nothing that I can see. Jealousy and hate. Deadly sins. Max in Toronto writes in, he says, hey, Rod, do you think his performance at the Four Nations raised the price on Mitch Marner's next contract? I'll say this. It can't hurt, but I would think performance in the Stanley Cup playoffs is what will settle that. Not the Four Nations tournament. No, not a tournament. It's different. It's different. And by the way, how much more can he get? There's other guys there they got to pay that are doing more in Toronto. Paul in Humboldt writes in, he says, weekend rumor. The Estevan Bruins are interested in moving from the SJHL to the Western Hockey League. Fake news? I'm not sure what to make of this one, but I didn't see the Hounds moving from Notre Dame to Warman either. Well, let's put it this way. Don't think they haven't had discussions in Estevan about moving to the Western Hockey League, where they used to be in the 60s and 70s, by the way. But I would suggest the $15 million expansion fee is probably going to scare them off. $10 to $15 million expansion fee. That's some big money. Again, don't think it hasn't been talked about. They've got the facility to do it, but the budget, I can't see them making the numbers work. BW in Edmonton writes in, he says, hashtag squirrel moment. Former New York Knicks and Rangers broadcaster Al Troutwig has passed away at the age of 68. Allie in Texarkana says, I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day. Great show as always. Thank you, Allie, for tuning in and getting your dose of Canadiana. Allie says, you could never make me hate Wayne or Sid. Yeah, me either. I don't get what's inside those people, but what I know is it's gross. It's like poison. Bomber Boy writes in, he says, great show, Rod. Everyone should enjoy the Jets on Prime tonight. Is that Prime in the States? Is that available here? I think it is. I guess we'll find out. BW says, see you tomorrow, RP Squad. I appreciate you all tuning in every day. If I don't tell you enough, I really do. I get my shows that I listen to every day, and they give me so much pleasure. I hope that ours does the same for you. Big thank you to Brien Rea. Thanks to our crew. Obviously, the Moose, and most of all, you for tuning in, our generous sponsors, which keep us on the air every day. Take care of yourself. Put yourself first. And we'll see you tomorrow at noon Eastern.
I never told you to shut up. Well, a couple times.
How about that?